Hi, it's Nick from Nick's Nutrition, and in this video I'm going to be talking you through my answers to some common diet myths. So I was inspired to do this video by an amazing girl called Georgia who is studying to be a journalist. She basically sent me through a load of diet myths and I had to respond giving her my answers, so I just thought I would share my answers with you in this video. Myth number one is that bread is the devil. Bread is only the devil if you eat too much of it with lashings of butter, just because you're going to be getting too many calories over the day. I would recommend choosing a granary bread, a whole grain bread, and putting on some Olivier spread or some mashed avocado for some healthy fats. And if you're having a couple of slices with some salad, with some tuna, then actually you've got a pretty healthy balanced meal. Myth number two is that it's really bad to eat past 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Our body doesn't work on a 24-hour clock, and to be honest, it depends on the amount of calories that you take over the whole 24 hours, over the whole 48, 72 hours, over a whole week on average. If, say, you're late in from work, it doesn't mean that you can't have your evening meals simply because it's past 7 or 8 o'clock. The key is to have regular meals and snacks spread out over the day, and if you feel uncomfortable with a large meal before bed, then make sure that you're having it around 2 to 3 hours just to allow for digestion. The only real problem with late night eating is, for example, if you're eating out of boredom and your body just simply doesn't need the extra calories. My advice would be to keep your hands and mind occupied on an evening, keep hydrated with lots of fluids, and make sure that you get to bed at a decent hour so that you're not fridge picking. Myth number three is that you shouldn't eat more than 3 times a day, so that you shouldn't snack between meals. To be honest, you should eat when you feel hungry, so when you feel stomach hunger. When you're awake, this might be every 3 to 4 hours depending on how active you are, so to be honest, you really have to listen to your body. A recent study, which I will try and link down below, actually showed that people who ate 6 times a day as opposed to 4 times a day actually weighed less and consumed fewer calories, mainly because they were eating little and often and didn't allow themselves to get too over hungry, so they didn't overeat at any one meal. So my advice is to eat little and often as your body craves it, and to not deprive yourself when you really are hungry. Myth number 4 is that you have to eat superfoods to be healthy. So the term superfoods isn't actually legal, so there's no legal definition. Any food can be a superfood as long as you justify it. For health, we should be eating between 5 to 9 portions of fruit and vegetables a day, and if you're eating a rainbow of different colours, then you're going to be getting lots of different vitamins, minerals, antioxidants to keep us healthy. In general though, if a food is high in nutrients, then it's going to be a superfood. My superfoods are personally things like oats, salmon, sweet potato, broccoli, berries, things that have got lots of goodness in, things like protein, omega-3 fatty acids, fibre, vitamins and minerals. So myth number 5 is that saturated fat is bad for you. So in our diets we've got unsaturated fats, which are found in things like avocados, nuts, seeds, oily fish, and saturated, which are found in things like animal products. The Mediterranean diet, which is the one that is the best for heart health in general, promotes a more unsaturated fat diet, so things like avocados, olive oil, nuts, seeds, oily fish in place of saturated fat. Saturated fat doesn't actually cause an increased risk of heart disease like we once were led to believe. However, it's not a benefit either. The worst type of fat though is something called trans fats, and that's found in things like fried foods, processed foods, and if you're looking on the ingredients list, it's things that are labelled with hydrogenated vegetable oil. In the UK we're really good and we don't actually have much of it, but I think that in America the levels are higher. So my advice isn't to follow a low fat diet, it's to have a moderate amount of fat in your diet. Make sure that you're having oily fish, nuts, seeds, olive oil, avocados, and if you're having things like butter, yogurt, milk, great, that's absolutely fine, but make sure that you're getting your unsaturated fats as well. And on the other hand, just make sure that you're limiting processed foods, things like fast food and junk food. Myth number 6 is that skipping breakfast is a good way of saving calories for later on in the day. To be honest, I would never recommend missing breakfast because you run the risk of poor concentration levels, poor energy levels, and basically you're more likely to overindulge later on in the morning. Say if you're passing a vending machine and you might have a couple of chocolate bars at 400 or 500 calories, where actually a healthy balanced breakfast might come in at only 200 to 300 calories. Breakfast provides things like protein, calcium, B vitamins, and it's nutrients that you might not get in at another time point later on in the day. The National Weight Control Database is basically a massive database of people who submit all the things that they do to help them to lose weight and to keep it off, and I'll leave the link to that down below. Basically, I think it's around 80% of successful slimmers actually eat breakfast, so it doesn't mean that you have to eat breakfast to lose weight, but the majority of successful slimmers do. If you are looking for breakfast inspiration, then I will leave all my favourite breakfast recipes down below. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any other myths that you've heard, then please leave them down below. I would love to hear them. Thank you again to Georgia for inspiring this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next week.